So you're buying your first pair of pole heels and you are completely overwhelmed and confused as to which heels you should buy. Should you get sandals? Should you get boots? What material? What height? What size? All of these are very valid questions, and I want to help you not make the mistakes that I made as a first-time pole dancer. So first of all, what height should you start with? Now, it can be very tempting to go for something smaller like a 6-inch or even a 5-inch. While yes, it does look less intimidating to start with something smaller, what you will find is with those smaller shoes, there isn't as much of a ramp on the front of the shoe. So these shoes here are 7-inch heels. They do have a nice little curve, as you can see here, which will help you with your floor work so that you can actually come up onto the point of your shoes. These are 8-inch heels, and you can see there's an even more dramatic curve here on the front. That really helps you with choreography and that more elegant, intricate dancing. So you can really press into the heel and do your pirouettes and move around quite easily. Whereas if you do go smaller than your 7-inch, you will find that this just isn't really much of anything. It's quite flat and shallow, and you might struggle to do some of your floor work moves. So I highly recommend starting with at least a 7-inch. If you are a little bit stronger in your ankles, maybe you've got good dance experience in the past, or just strong ankles in general, don't be scared to have a look at 8-inch heels as well. The next question that you will potentially find is, what size do you need to buy? So based on your street shoe size, I would always recommend sizing up for boots. So if you are a size 8, I would potentially look at getting a size 9 in the boots and sizing down for sandals. So I am smack bang in the middle. I'm an 8.5, and I take a size 9 in my boots and a size 8 in my sandals, and that works really well for me. But if possible, the best way to find out what size you are is to ask the other students at your studio who have the same size shoe as you whether you can actually try on the shoes and see how they fit, because some brands fit differently to others, and they're not all the same, and the best way is to just try them on, have a walk in them and see, because there is nothing more annoying than getting a pair of shoes, dancing in them and realizing they're the wrong size, and then you've already worn them and you can't send them back. So we've all been there. I mean, I have definitely been there. So try and avoid doing that. Another question that comes up is whether or not you should start with sandals or boots. So there's pros and cons to both, and I want to cover them off because it really does come down to individual choice and what you feel comfortable with. With the sandals, the pros are that they are very light compared to boots. So if you are doing aerial tricks, you will find that sandals will not weigh you down as much when you're doing your inverts and other things like that that require your legs to go above your head. So sandals are lighter, which is a big advantage there. They also can look quite pretty and elegant. It's a little bit more of a minimal look, so that's an aesthetic choice. But with the actual design of the sandals, they can allow for a bit more movement around the ankle and the foot. So if you're doing things like edge work and choreography, that can be an advantage because you're able to move your foot around more freely. But if you're just starting out and you're a little bit wobbly and maybe your ankles aren't that strong yet, you might find that the extra movement that this allows your foot to have and your ankles to have is a little bit sketchy, and you might find that you're rolling your ankles quite a lot. So the advantages of boots are that you have this lovely piece here that obviously adds support and stability and protection to your ankles. So you can use these laces to adjust how stiff or how much movement the boots will allow you to have. I've got a great video that shows you how to lace up the boots to still give you a little bit of movement so you don't feel like you're walking around with your leg in a straitjacket. They also give you a little bit more support in terms of I guess protection for your actual foot. So if you're doing climbs and things like that, you've got this covering around this whole part of your leg, including your toes. So that if you are coming down out of a trick a little bit awkwardly and slamming your foot on the floor, you've got a bit of protection over your toes, and you're not going to end up with a broken toe or a ripped off toenail. So from that side of things, your boots are going to give you a bit more protection, a bit more stability, and they are also a little bit more durable, even though these ones, as you can see, I've done a lot of choreography in them, so they're a bit scuffed, but they will last typically a bit longer than your sandal style shoes will. Next, I want to talk about the differences in these sandal styles. So if you have decided that you want to go with sandals, there are a couple of key differences between the different sandal types. So as you can see here, these ones are pretty similar in terms of the shape and design. So the straps are these lovely, clear, thick straps that go around the ankle, and they do offer you a little bit better support. For example, this one, which has more of a dainty strap, you can see it's a bit thinner. It's also stitched, so it won't stretch and give as much as these plastic ones. It's just something to consider when you are shopping around, that if you go straight to something with this really dainty strap, you might find that it's going to move around on your foot a lot more than something with a nice wide strap like this. Now, these ones also come in a style where the front part of this is very similar in material to these. I don't have a pair to show you, I'm sorry. But that style is fully stitched as well. So it's got 2 rows of stitching that go over the top part and the lower part of the opening. That stitching will actually stop the shoe from stretching, which might be great if you find a pair of shoes that fits you absolutely perfectly. But if it doesn't fit you perfectly, you might find that it digs in and cuts into your foot, and that can be a bit of an uncomfortable experience compared to the styles with this nice soft clear jelly plastic. So these ones will mold to your foot based on the heat. So you can also speed this process up using a hairdryer. I've got a video that explains how to do that on my Pole Virgins page. Or you can just wear socks until it has stretched enough that it fits your foot properly. Now, between the different brands of shoes as well, there are some differences. This is a pleaser style shoe, even though it's a smaller height, the design is the same. So I find that this toe hole at the front for my feet is way too wide. So I don't really wear these shoes for much apart from filming content. I wouldn't dance in them because my toes end up actually hanging like over the front of the shoe, and that can be quite painful when you're starting to dance and do things like this. Your toes are just kind of getting grated along the floor, which isn't as nice. But if you have a wider foot, you might find that pleasers fit you perfectly, and they actually give your toes a nice amount of room to stretch out in without going over the front of the shoe. So try the pleasers on, see how you go if you have a wide foot. Hella heels, they do have a couple of different fits available. They've got a new fit, they've got a wide fit, so there's quite a bit of difference there and customization available as well. But for me, I find this toe hole is much smaller, and that keeps my toes nicely in the shoe. They don't come over the edge. And I've got such a narrow foot, you can see I've also put like a bit of a cushion in here just to take up some of the extra space around my foot, because otherwise the shoe literally rolls around on my foot, and sometimes my foot even comes out of the shoe. So that's just something to bear in mind if you do have narrow feet like me. I personally love the Hella heels because they fit my feet so much better and keep them in place. Now, if you are getting sandals, please, for the love of everything holy, make sure you get something with an ankle strap on it. Whether it's thin, whether it's thick, doesn't matter, but there needs to be some kind of way of keeping this shoe onto your foot, because if you get a style that doesn't have this, as soon as you do a climb or an invert or something like that, your shoe's going to fly off and potentially hit someone else in the head. So please choose something with an ankle strap if you are going to get sandals. That is very important. Now, when it comes to buying boots or shoes in general, material choice also matters. So This is a very durable PVC type material, which I spoke about before. It gives you really good grip on the pole. It's going to last a bit longer and stand up to a bit more of a beating, especially when you're learning. For the first time, you tend to bang your feet around quite a lot. So I personally find that the PVC style material is good. Some people also like that sort of fake leather look as well. Personally, for me, I find it's a little bit more slippery than this PVC stuff, and it doesn't help me climb the pole. So I prefer that for tricks. The suede and velvet options as well, they do look beautiful. They are a lot less durable than the PVC, so I would highly recommend getting some kind of shoe cover or something to protect them and help them last a bit longer. The material will also get scuffed a lot easier than your PVC material, and it's a suede, so it's not going to grip onto the pole. Whether it's suede or velvet, they just don't have that grip that PVC does. So that is something to bear in mind. I love my suede boots for choreography, but I would not wear them for any kind of tricks routine that required me to climb the pole or have any sort of grip with my ankles. So yeah, just something to think about there. And all those ones that have big buckles, big studs, big chunky things, feathers, tassels, whatever, I would avoid those. They're great for photo shoots, they look amazing, but they can be really harsh on the floor, really harsh on the poles, really harsh on your skin if you happen to accidentally knock your foot against your leg or your hands or your back while you're dancing. Those big buckles and chains and things, they can really just scratch the absolute life out of your skin. So I would stick to something nice and simple. Don't go too complicated, don't go too elaborate with the metal accessories. Just keep it nice and simple. And yeah, stay safe on the pole. I hope that helps you choose your first pair of heels. Thank you so much for listening and have fun. Mwah.